to manage customer relationships for increasing buyer loyalty is the theme of this week's three stories. This is for you, the technology entrepreneur who is fired up to deliver a great customer experience. We know that customer acquisition is major key. We usually talk about that over here. Why? If you don't get traffic for the top of your funnel, how can you get customers in the first place if you're not driving strangers towards your properties? Let's say that right now you understand the cost of acquiring a customer. Let's say you're gonna spend $20 or $700 on marketing to acquire every single client. That can be through content marketing, email outreach, advertising, or whatever it might be. But you understand what it takes to generate a customer and you can repeat that process. You know what it takes and you know what it means. What it means to acquire a customer suggests that you're gonna keep them for maybe 2 months or 2 years, and as much as possible, because you understand this equation, you want to optimize for a longer customer lifetime. You care about great user experience. You want your buyers to be successful and happy whenever they use your products. On top of that, if you deliver a great experience, it's gonna help you build a sustainable business. Who does not want revenue to fund their product development? Today, let us talk about managing customer relationship. This is not just about tools or CRM apps. This is about extending the value of each customer by extending their lifetime and having them be more successful and happier with you, and how to get there. Stay alert, because in the end we will summarize the 5-minute tips so you can begin with a very practical step. My name is Alan from northstories.io, and today we are discussing 3 hot stories about managing your customer relationships. Story number 1: how to track customer acquisitions, customer lifecycle, sales funnel, and content strategy. Cheers to Mike Pono at MYXYS for this great guide. We love talking about customer life cycles at northstories.io. Mike Pono offers a different perspective. Now, digital marketers' popular customer value optimization, for example, is a step-by-step process regarding helping the audience go through the journey. Mike Pono's take is different because he breaks down 3 categories. Number 1, the customer step-by-step process. Number 2, your sales funnel, or what you internally do to drive them down the process. And number 3, your content strategy, your different types of contents, your webinars or your blog posts that allow them to go through the process. This is a great way to look at different perspectives. You want to look at the journey in terms of yourself, right, as a business operator, and from the perspective of the customer. And at the same time, you want to look at your different content marketing properties. Your 5-minute tip to move forward with this is to read the article and see the 3 different dimensions of the customer acquisition framework. You want to visit this page, right? You can search for Mike Pono's piece on the customer acquisition framework. And then later, after reading through, we want to get more actionable after that by mapping your customer journey. And then after that, you can align that with your business processes and your content assets. For now, let's keep it simple. Just start with the article. All right. Story number 2. How can I increase sales through CRM? Thank you, Cora, for this great discussion, and let us share the answer. Optimizing my CRM allowed me to increase sales. At the end of the day, it is not about tools, though they do help, right? It's about how the CRM fits the way you work. Number 1, you want a clear pipeline, a step-by-step process, right? The customer journey. But this one particularly is for closing your leads and your prospects into sales. Number 2, you want to identify the right information about your customers to include. For me, I like including how they found me so I can find common patterns and, for example, identify their marketing goals so I can serve them a particular package because they're trying to achieve a particular thing. So I can create templates and different kinds of treatments based on the customer information. And finally, I want to track customer communication so my team can get in sync. So if I communicate with a client and log that a phone call achieved this, everyone should know and it should be on the record. All right. I have spent way too much time exploring CRMs and setting up fancy technology. In the end, I was able to keep it simple, and right now I'm super happy with Sales Flare. With a CRM that works, I'm forced to decide on action items. This is a major question. Whenever we work with a prospect, we ask, what is the next step to get the prospect going? If we're not going to take action with the prospect, we might as well remove that prospect from the list. Your 5-minute tip for moving forward is to map your sales pipeline. You likely have a pipeline already. Regardless, I invite you to review it. For me, my steps are: number 1, I would have a lead. I might have listed them. Most of the time they opted in, and then I would contact them. We would qualify if they're a great fit right now. We would send a proposal, and then finally we will agree that we lost or won the client. This allows me to understand where each prospect stands. And based on where they stand, I have a system for reaching out to them because I know where they should move and where they are currently. For now, I invite you to review your pipeline, right? Review the steps, if necessary, modify them. But the important thing is to understand your pipeline and revisit the step-by-step process and know what to do for each and every step. Story number 3. How to build a powerful customer service knowledge base. This is an article coming from SuperOffice. Okay. Right now, I happen to be working with clients and partners on scaling their customer service. This is right up our alley because we create content materials for communicating with clients, and often we have to do some degree of customization with a lot of templating. In many cases, your blog is sufficient for documenting recurring things. So, for example, there's a usual discussion. You can give your clients a link to a blog post, right? But, for example, there might be a popular question for your industry like, is Google Analytics the right tool for me? That is a question by your typical customer. then you can have a blog post about analytics tools and then you can link this to them, right? Now, there are businesses that require documentation for their specific service because they might have a big piece of product with a lot of intricate information. In such cases, you want a knowledge base. This is to talk about the specific details of your software or your service, right? This allows you to support customers at scale. Why? By creating a knowledge base, instead of just a blog, you have pages specific to the step-by-step processes of how to use your software. You will be disciplined to create templates. Even if you don't share these knowledge base pages, you can refer to it as an internal wiki for your team. You have the templates on how to deal with specific questions. Number 2, because you give your customers access to your knowledge base, they can solve the problems on their own without even reaching out to you because they have access to the information. This lowers your operating costs and your customers can solve their problems faster. They don't necessarily have to ask you all the time. If you can generate FAQs, that would be great. Of course, if there's a recurring usability issue, just fix it with the software. But very often, we would have to document things here and there. You generally want discipline of identifying the FAQs. That would be found in your email conversations, chat support, and then you want to reflect your FAQs back to that shared knowledge base. Your 5-minute tip for moving this forward is to browse through your customer support messages, right? You want to look at your archive and find recurring questions about using your product. For example, you're in the service business and you're a logo design industry. It's unlikely that you need a knowledge base, right? There's no app to navigate. You just email your customers. That's how it works. But if you're, for example, running a SaaS app, you might want to beef up your support documents because you have tons of customers and they have tons of recurring questions that may be specific to the usability of your product. No matter what your business is, you want to identify recurring questions about your services. Why? They can be frequent objections or questions that you can address even on your sales page, right? Pre-sales. People might wonder, how does this work? How easy is it to use? Or can I see a demo? You might want to share that before the sale. And these could be product usage tutorials that should be in a knowledge base for your existing customers or even trial users. There you have it. Let us do a recap of your 3 5-minute tips. Number 1, you want to read how to track customer acquisitions, customer lifecycle, sales funnel, and content strategy. Number 2, you want to map your sales pipeline to identify the steps that your lead takes before they become customers or before you close the account and say that you have lost the opportunity. Number 3, you want to browse through your customer support messages and find recurring patterns. Choose one that you will practice today, and I invite you to pledge your commitment by tweeting it to me at Alan Kaig on Twitter. This has been Alan on from NorthStories.io, and keep up over here for more tips on creating content that interfaces and delights your clients. Cheers and have a great week ahead.